Hi, this is Nolan Inquisitor, and today I'm going to talk about something crazy. Oh wait, this is the wrong channel. Sorry about that, kids. Imagine, if you will, a 17th century Paris, where the only thing standing between the good citizens of France and the powers of hell are. Oh, sorry, this is the wrong channel too. Welcome everybody. Oh wait, that's the wrong channel too, man. So now, wait a minute. How did this go? Oh yes. Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? There you go. That's the right channel. So we had our second session of All for One Regime Diabolique. I got to play again with Runeslinger and No Inquisitor and JDR-D30, Anthony, Sebastian, and Francois. A lot of fun. So today I want to talk about more of my impressions about the game, not just about the Ubiquity system and learning to use the Ubiquity system, but playing more in Hangouts, kind of the nuances and the challenges I'm finding playing with that in that medium. And playing, with a new group and kind of feeling each other out in terms of our different gaming styles, gaming preferences, all that kind of good junk. Just what the experience has been like, because it's been novel, really kind of cool. So, a couple things, a couple different ways I could attack this. Things that were just occurring to me. The first thing is it's really neat to play with, a great group of people like that. But it takes a while to feel each other out in terms of, just kind of like the group dynamic. How are we all going to mesh together? How are we all going to gel together? It's not a surprise, and things I've talked to him about, videos that he's posted, and all this kind of stuff that Nolan Inquisitor likes things a little bit more cinematic um, than some. And so he's a little bit, I don't want to say over the top because that's not the right way, but he's very dynamic in his description. And that was, on the other end of the spectrum, here I was, as more of an OSR guy who I'm like I've talked about in recent videos, I'm a little less used to narrating my successes as a player. As a DM, I narrate the hell out of them. So I'm just kind of getting used to like, okay, well, how much do I want to, how am I going to narrate my intention? And then, how am I going to narrate the success? Like, when do I jump in and do that? And the difficulty, that I found for me at some point, that wasn't just the fact that I was less familiar with doing that as a player, but because we're in this kind of artificial hangouts environment. So there's a lot, I'm missing a lot of the body language, a lot of the eye contact. There were times during the game when, Runeslinger as a, the game master would kind of stop for a second. And, you get the impression that he's waiting for you to say something. Like if you don't say anything, he's going to move on. And I asked him afterwards, like, yeah, that was what was going on. But it was a little funny watching the game again, listening to it mostly as I was driving, to and from work. I noticed that those pauses were a lot shorter than they felt like at the time. But at the time, they felt like they were 5 minutes long. And I wasn't sure, do I say something or not say something? And I remember thinking, like, this is really, it's difficult or different because, we've got these little boxes at the bottom of the screen, where you can see the other players for the most part. So you can see the game master, da-da, this big giant box. You kind of want to have like 8 screens so you can see everybody's face. Um, you want something like Star Wars, little holograms next to you or something. Because in a normal game, I know at a point like that where just a description was dropped or whatever, and there's that second pause, we'd kind of give each other eye contact. You wouldn't necessarily have to go out of character talk. What are we going to do here? We're going to say something? Occasionally you do that. But sometimes after you gel with a group, or even sometimes it happens pretty fast. You just kind of give each other a look. And it's like, okay, I'm going to say something here, and stop. So I talked to Anthony afterwards and just mentioned that there were times I wasn't quite sure like what kind of placeholder to kind of throw in there. Like, do I say something or not say something? And that's also just given the nature of Hangouts, how it seems to work in terms of, it doesn't react quite as fast when you say something. It takes a second for, um, it to become apparent that you've said something. Just the way it is. And that's something I need to get used to as a player. I found it was a little tougher, like I said before, to kind of gel because we're not seeing each other's body language. I also found that as there were times I didn't describe, like I had this little acrobatic leap, off of um, this guy that just stabbed to death who was levitating, and now he wasn't levitating anymore because he was dying. Didn't think that one through. My character didn't think that one through. I knew it was going to happen. But I acrobatically leap off, mechanically. But I would have described it a lot more. And what it is, sometimes words fail me in the moment, and in a medium not like Hangouts, I would have jumped up out of my chair and just kind of, boom, I land like this, all cat-like, and said something, land in a manner, that would make Keanu Reeves look jealous, because it was better than the Matrix, you know. But at the moment, sometimes I would just leap out of my chair. I watched all these, videos lately, and read the posts like, do you stand or do you sit as a game master? I sit, but every once in a while, as a player or a game master, I stand up and do something because sometimes that's just kind of fun. to get involved with that. Sometimes the words fail me. And body language is important, you know, even just to the point we're just reading each other's facial expressions. So that was one dynamic I have to get used to. Fortunately, it's a good group. I really enjoyed the role play that went on. That was a blast. The characters became more and more alive. There was a lot of banter as we were swashbuckling, and it became more and more, you know, at least I think in all of our minds' eyes, you know, here we are running around doing all these cool musketeer things, you know, talking to each other at the same time. It was really kind of evocative of that. But, you know, I need to work on that a little bit more. Get a little more disjointed. What about the system itself? Let me see if I can pull up here some of the stuff that Anthony put on our little private group here. There's a couple of different things. He mentioned that like he likes to normally just instead of shouting out difficulty grades, like, okay, you're gonna have to defend against a 4. You know, they hit you with 4 successes. You might want to say it's going to be hard to defend against this slash, and so he wasn't doing that at the time. You know, it's funny because no matter what game it is, no matter how much you want to kind of divorce your descriptions from the numbers, you know, you still have to say them. In one way, shape, or form to know how well you succeeded or failed, or what sort of damage you dealt to somebody or didn't, you know, deal, or, you know, all that kind of good junk. Depending on what you're doing, you're going to have to say, oh, it's a 3 or it's a 4 or a 5. And so, as it was going on in the game, was a little bit more out of character than he would have liked, and I think a little bit more than I would have liked, because it tends to focus you back on the mechanics of the game. It's not a terrible thing. It's just a matter of, I think it's a matter of nuance. So it's like kind of like feeling each other out. I got to get progressives, or I got, you know, computer screens are killing me, you know. But I can't look that way, yeah. But I really need to get really close for that. Other thing is he did mention that the as far as the ubiquity system too, doing things like maneuvers and using scenery are definitely the key to some you know, earning style in combat and just make it more fun, more quicker victory, all that kind of stuff. So there are things in the ubiquity system like flurry and called shots and total attack and total defense, and, you know, it's like a lot of systems. There's these little nuances that, you know, we haven't used yet, but that's just more, I think, developing more familiarity with the system and little nuances you can throw in there. And it's actually, there's some great cheat sheets or combat maneuver sheets online, which I printed out some. And I just had them next to me. I never really looked at them that much because I was kind of engrossed in the scene. I was immersed. Do you hear me, Anthony? I was immersed. So I didn't do that as much. But that's a good reminder. And using things like the terrain to get more style points. And, you know, definitely I found that, you know, I was less you know, inclined to narrate to the point where I got many style points back, you know, whereas Sebastian and Francois were a lot better at that. Another thing that was kind of interesting was you could really tell our differences in terms of, I don't want to say just playstyle preferences, but, you know, how we normally, what we normally kind of gravitate towards. And, you know, Sebastian's no secret. You know, Nolan Inquisitor is big time into some very cinematic styles. In fact, he just posted a video very recently, which is the reason that I'm posting this video the way I opened this video the way I did. Go watch his, you'll understand why. Talking about his more cinematic nature and some of the differences he found between something like Ubiquity, you know, All for One, and 7th Sea. And, you know, I've watched a lot of his videos. I've talked to him a little bit here and there. I read some of his blog posts. So I know that he kind of comes from that much more cinematic, descriptive standpoint, where I'm coming from, like, you know, a more old school thing where you just aren't narrating as much of your successes. So I think we're both kind of like moving towards the middle ground. I think, you know, Francois kind of hit the sweet spot right out of the gate. At least for me, I think that was kind of like, you know, and we're also there trying to find the center. Where do we all fit? And so it's going to be really interesting too. I'm looking forward to, you know, to Null Inquisitor being the game master and seeing where he takes it. And I'm also looking forward to you know, Runesinger as a player. I know he's looking forward to that. He's talked about it for enough years about wanting to play this game. So and he gets to play, you know, first right out of the gate under a really good game master, because Sebastian is just fantastic. Like, you know, just the narrations he gave to my lackey alone. I can't wait to see what he does to the non-player characters and the scene and all that stuff. I did watch some of his Doctor Who game the other day too. You know, didn't have enough time to watch enough of that, but yeah, looking forward to playing with that. And, you know, he did mistake. He thought that some of the people we fought with around the cultists we fought with around the campfire were campfire. Yeah, it was more of a you know, bonfire. Terrible occultist fire. But, you know, he thought they were minions, but they were not minions. They're actually minions in Ubiquity. But, yeah, that's just some of my impressions in terms of, like, yeah, still need to kind of figure out the system a little bit more. Still need to kind of figure out each other's styles. Not just our styles, but, like, where are we going to go in terms of how we're playing this game. I don't want to say all on the same page, but how are we going to gel as a group? How are we really going to And I'm looking forward to that, and I'm hoping it goes on longer than just a series of of a round of one shots. We'll see where it goes, because it's a real treat to play with these guys. These are the kind of guys that I'd like to find locally that I could play with, because it really seems like a good fit so far. And then just the challenges of playing in something like Hangouts. Hangouts is great. It's like unbelievable that here we are, like around the world, playing with each other. You can find people that have the same sensibilities, and that's like awesome. But there are some challenges with it, and I don't think they're insurmountable. It's just figuring out, like, how do you kind of get that rhythm together, where you're reading more of each other's body language, where you develop some kind of communication, where maybe, for me, I overcome the hesitance to just jump in and say, okay, wait a minute, I'm going to say something here, or So, been a lot of fun. It's been a learning experience so far, and I'm looking forward to more of the learning curve. Oh, and one other thing here, I'm gonna have to do another video probably today, or probably release it tomorrow. But I got this care package here from Mr. Tim Harper. Fortunately, I knew it was coming, so I didn't wonder why somebody was delivering a box of diapers. Like, is my girlfriend not telling me something? So that unboxing video will be coming up very soon. I've not yet even opened it. The tape is secure, and I need to open it soon, because there's something in here I really need. The rest of the stuff, I have no clue what the hell it is. Talk to you soon.